You be you need to share? Yeah.
Let's just double check that. Would one of the participants let us know, please raise your hand or something, whether you can see the slide? It's got a gray background. Right now it has the participant list.
Oh,
Okay, you can
Alright.
see it. Perfect.
Thank you very much. So thank you all for coming to the Union Street Phase 2 pre-construction meeting. I'm Zach Cronin, the Assistant City Engineer. We are here with Dave DeFosis, our Project Manager for the city, Construction Manager. Stephanie Secord, our Public Outreach Person. We have
Phil
Phil.
Corbett, CMA Engineers, Project Manager.
Whitney Bouchard, CMA Engineers, Project Engineer.
John McCarthy, John Turner Consulting, RPR.
Bob McDonald, Mac Construction.
Guys should, I want to sit over here, so you don't have the back, you back to.
Find the other broken seat. Full view.
Oh, jeez.
So the agenda tonight, we're gonna, review the purpose and intent of the project. An update on our construction to date, this being Phase 2, so an update on Phase 1. Then we're going to move into what to expect during construction. Traffic control, how, access to the site, your property, properties where you live. Resident coordination, that will be primarily contact with myself and John. And then public comment and question period at the end. So the purpose of the project, this is one of our DES consent decree projects to separate sewer and stormwater. That'll reduce our combined sewer overflows, which is where during large rain events, wastewater is unable to be treated and goes to the Scottco River. This will, lower the impacts of large storms and make it so that we are a cleaner community. This will also replace the water mains and then with separation, new sewer mains and services and new stormwater infrastructure. Then while the road is open, quite a bit of work. So redoing the road surface and then the sidewalks as well. And then the area of this is Austin Street, Union Street between Austin and State, but we'll show that on diagrams as we get there. Bit of an update. Phase 1 of the project, as you all probably saw, it was Middle Street
Or
with
heard, yeah.
or heard, to be honest. Middle Street from Miller to Union, that was sewer and stormwater, and then the sidewalks. Union Street from Middle to Austin. We still have the sidewalks and the final streetscape to complete. And then the next phase of the work is piping underneath Union Street from Austin to State, and then streetscape and sidewalk reconstruction. Here we have the project overview, the area that we have just spoke about. And then, of course, the 2024 construction area being, again, between Austin and State Street on Union. And I will, at the completion of the utility work underneath, that's when MAC Construction will be coming through and finalizing the streetscape and then the sidewalks. So we can move on to schedule, or move on to schedule. If you
Sure, yeah. So Zach touched on it a little bit, right? So the utility work is done in the Union Street section between Austin and Middle Street and in Middle Street, which primarily was done to separate the drainage and the sewer. And now the extension of this to finish out the section to State Street will need to begin the excavation for water sewer drainage improvements on the section between Austin and State. And then MAC Construction will step back and put everything back together. So we'll have new curbing, sidewalks, driveways paved, and then a final top course of paving on the whole section. So, construction, I think on the next slide, oh, is it everything in here? Yeah, so this is, construction is gonna start in a couple weeks. The first task that they will do is that there is some reconfiguration of some sewer services that we need to confirm exactly where it goes and how we're going to connect to it and make sure they plan that before they get to your home. So there will be some investigations in some of the basements. There'll be some folks knocking on some doors to do that work and trying to schedule some time to come into your home and look at the basement and make sure we understand how everything's configured if you live in the section between State and Austin Street. And then next, now we're definitely on the next slide. Then you'll start to see equipment mobilized towards the end of April. And then one of the other next steps, which will be another disruption, is in order to construct the project, similar to the first section they did on Union, they'll have to install what's called temporary bypass water. So it's the water that's on the surface. So the underground water is shut down and surface water is connected, so they're not ripping it up as they go to do the excavation, which just requires a temporary shutdown to switch the connection from your underground to the above ground water connection. So you'll be noticed a couple days ahead of time before that happens. It'll all happen sequentially as we go and do all the temporary water. So you know when that's going to happen. It should be less than a half a day during the day when water's shut down to make that connection. And again, that's if you live between State and Austin Street. And then excavation will start in earnest to get the new sewer water drain in through the May-June timeframe. This section's a little bit shorter than the last section. And work took a long time all through the summer on Middle Street because there's a lot of ledge excavation of very deep utilities, which was required to make this work. But we're expecting it to be similar to the other section of Union and should go much faster, and things aren't nearly as deep as they needed to be there. So May, June for excavation of that. And then towards the end of June, should start putting things back together with new curbing will first go in and then sidewalks. They'll put new concrete sidewalks in everywhere. And then do loam and seed landscaping, June, July timeframe, and with a hope to wrap everything up in August. Does that sound right, Bob? I didn't overcommit you?
Yeah, nope, I think that sounds about right. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
the goal will be to have binder down before the 4th of July. That would be.
Yep, so that's the first layer of pavement. Hopefully we'll have that put together on the roadway, so you'd be looking similar to the other section of Union where they ripped it up and then we'll repave it with that first course of pavement. So in that interim time, it'll be like it was in the other section. You'll have a kind of temporary gravel surface on that area. Yeah, work hours 7 to 6, and I think he worked some long days last year, but looking to get things done as quickly as we can. And yeah, I think we touched on these things too, so I think we're good here. And so yep, sorry, go ahead,
So
Zach.
getting into the, resident and driveway impacts, we have 3 separate utilities that we're replacing. So at first coming through with the deepest, which is typically the sewer, and then they, from one section all the way through, get that done. Then they come through at the second deepest, typically water. So they'll be coming through all through the project yet again, and then stormwater. So that's usually the shallowest. And I don't know how it happens, but it will be in front of your driveway when you want to get there each and every single time. I'm sorry, but we will try to get the utilities done as quickly as possible. But it will look like they're redigging the same spot multiple times because they need to for the different utilities. But there's quite a bit of coordination. In the morning, they'll go through, knock on doors to make sure you can get out. They did that in the first section last year, and they will continue to do so. And they were incredibly good to work with in getting people in and out of their properties.
Do you have any galvanized water services in this section?
Not that I know of.
Yeah.
This area is mostly older. It would have been issued by now.
As you may be aware, the city has to report our complete inventory of every water service line, public and private, by the end of October to the EPA. So we're doing a zone by zone inspection. We know about 3,700 out of 8,600 that we know about. So we're going zone by zone, neighborhood by neighborhood to check on whether you have galvanized line coming into the house. Because the galvanized was assembled with lead and solder. That is not a good thing to mix with your drinking water. So that's why we have to do an inventory. That's what we were just talking about. So I will check the map on where we are relative to that accurate.
Well, it's almost accurate. So the water main in the middle section of Union Street is still what we call a second generation pipe. So it was put in the 1880s, 1890s. What they used to do back then, is they didn't have the copper tubing that we use in modern water service. Actually, most of them are plastic nowadays, but they were copper for probably 70 years. And so what they would do is they'd use galvanized steel lines, and they were galvanized on the inside and the outside. And they thought it was a really good design, and was for a while. But what happens is just from water use, the water going through the pipe actually erodes the galvanized coating on the inside, and then the pipe actually rots from the inside out. So one day you're happy and you're doing dishes, and the next day you don't have any water because your pipe burst outside. So what we've been doing is, and I put a slide in the other project meetings, but I probably should have gave you that slide. So when your water line comes through your foundation, and before it goes into the water meter itself, if you have threaded pipe connections and you scratch down there by the basement wall, so right where it comes through the wall, if you scratch it with a coin and it's shiny metal, then you have a galvanized water line, and you probably should look to replace it during the project. It's a lot cheaper to replace it while we're excavating outside than it is to let Bob build an entire streetscape over it again and then have to hire somebody to fix it again. So one of the things you should do when you go home tomorrow, just scratch your water line. If it's green, it's copper. The copper color, obviously it's copper. But if it's anything other than that, if it's rusty or it's shiny metal that's not copper colored, you should probably say something to us and plan to get it replaced, and we'll work with you to get the line replaced. Most of your houses are right on the street anyway, so it's typically pretty easy. But those lines, and I had one on Cabot Street. I lived a block over from you. And I had one, and I had to replace it. And when I had to replace it, I had to close off the street. I had to hire police officers. I had to excavate. I had to dig out a city tree that the city had just planted and put a new tree in. I had to reset all the curbing. I had to put the sidewalk back in front of my house, and it was very, very expensive. And that was 15 years ago. And that number has done nothing but probably triple at this point. So if you have that kind of water line, you should seriously think about replacing it. Again, if you have a copper line, don't worry about it, you're good. So that's my spiel on galvanized water services. So and just what Stephanie was saying is oftentimes because those pipes are rigid and the water main might have been at a different grade. So to make that connection, oftentimes they put in like a lead whip. So then you'd have like a small piece of lead that connected from the water main to the galvanized service. So obviously we're going to be taking out the water main. We'll be taking out all of that stuff as part of what Bob's doing. He's going to take care of all that for us. But on your side, if you have one of those water lines, you should definitely remove it while it's cost effective to do so.
Who do you contact to do that?
So you should contact us first, and then we'll see if we can help facilitate doing that. What you typically have to do is you have to hire a plumber. If your house is around the street, it's probably not a big deal. If your house is back a ways, then it might be more of a problem, and you might have to hire your own contractor on your own site. But we will definitely help you out. It's our job to help you. We work for you. So, let us know and we'll try to facilitate some help.
So when you did the basement inspections, like on our end of Union, they weren't looking for that?
They were, so, but we don't necessarily here tonight have records for what they found.
So-
All that stuff is being coordinated and it is back at our office and it's being coordinated by other folks that work in another department. So we could get our hands on it, certainly. What I'm just saying is, go downstairs, take a look. If it's green, don't worry about it. Go, green, go, right? Copper, good.
Anyone that was hooked up,
Ready connections, not good.
anyone hooked up last year on Union. does
Is
not
all
have-
set.
Everyone's all set. There were no.
Yeah, you guys-
No black.
Yeah.
We were paying attention because we dug them up to see, well, we had to replace them to the property line from the water main. Then we did not see any galvanized surface.
Find any yesterday? Last year? No, okay. But there were many on Cabot Street, and Cabot Street is the same vintage. Cabot Street's only like 10 years older than Union Street. So they developed the city kind of out that way. So, it's not unheard of. It's certainly totally possible that there's one or two of your houses that still have.
Good, thanks. All right, I think we're on the next one here, which I think we mostly went through. I covered in kind of the schedule. So yeah. The temporary water mains, they'll required to, again, replace the water mains. They'll make a connection short shutdown for that. And then again, the coordination with the basement access for the sewer services to understand exactly where those go. And make sure we can connect everything up correctly. And yes, this area, the subsoils are not great, so it requires what they call kind of full box road reconstruction. So we'll dig down and replace all the gravel, so we provide nice new foundation for the pavement for the road.
So it doesn't look like what it looks like now.
Right, so it's not all deteriorated and rutted. So traffic control, so it'll be similar to what you saw on the other section of Union, where there will be access in at all times. It'll be closed to non-local traffic, but generally one-way alternating traffic. But it'll be so disruptive that people won't drive down there unless they live there. Which with signage and flaggers to help direct people and get them where they need to be. So yeah, John will be your first point of contact out there, and he will certainly notify you if your driveway is going to get blocked because we're trenching across it with a utility or anything else happens. And if you have any questions or concerns, he's always there, and that's the first person to go talk to and get some help. And yes, of course, doing the best we can. It's the pavement's all ripped up, everything's all ripped up, so it's either too wet or too dry. Trying to control the dust and sweep and manage that with water and other things to try to tamp down the dust during construction. And yeah, there will be, make sure that we always have emergency vehicle access to homes through the construction area. Yep, notify in advance, plan shutdowns, block driveways, and I mentioned that's John's contact here. He might have some cards as well if you need to talk to him to get his number. And then Zach here at the city is probably the first point of contact for other administrative things if you don't get a hold of John or if there's some other different issue than construction. And the city does, there's a specific website for this project, and they post kind of web updates as to what to expect and how things are going and that sort of thing on that.
And one of the reasons we asked for your email on check-in, and you're here, so you've gotten notices that you are on the Union Street project list. But if you're not and you want to get weekly updates directly, we send out an email with what's gonna happen next week. Send it out on Friday. It was a little bit more erratic than every week last season. I apologize, but we're gonna try to be more on point here. So that's what your email is for, and I'm happy to check whether you're on the list. But that sign up for that email blast is on the project page, so there's a box. So you just put your.
And the next slide is just the link to that website, I think.
So it's under DPW, see the projects tab. That's where you find Islington Street, Union Street, Willard, Maplewood Bridge, all the other things, Bartlett Street, all the other things are gonna be horrendously under construction all summer. If you wanna find out about them, that's where they live.
Good. So yeah, now we're happy to answer any questions. I guess we can start. I think there's folks online too, right? 70. Yeah, but we can start with you.
Yeah.
We'll start with you folks here. Yes. Yeah, and if
Oh,
you
yes.
just come up and say where you live and.
It's already on, right?
Yes.
Hi, my name is Susie Havren. I live at 88 Union Street, which is 2 houses in from the State Street intersection. And I noticed an earlier slide, it said construction from Austin to State. Do you literally mean you're starting construction from Austin to State? I just wondered where I fall in the line
Yeah, no,
of.
so it will entirely depend on the sequencing. That actually, because of the high point, the water, sewer and drain kind of go both directions, and usually they start at the low point and work their way up to the high point. So I don't know if Bob knows exactly how he plans to start, but that is just the general
Yeah, he
work
does.
limits. And you'll be impacted 3 times as they go through, once with sewer, once with drain, and once, so you'll be done, and then they'll step back and do it again and again. So there'll be 3 times that he'll. Nope, the gas line's staying where it is. Yep.
That's another question I had about any danger of the gas line being disrupted or
Nope. Yeah, no, I mean.
or any other utilities.
Yeah, I mean, it's active construction, so there's lots going on. The Unitil is very good at marking it out, and they have someone out there whenever we're working near it to make sure that there's no damage or disruptions, but that is certainly the intent. But we do have very good information on where it is, and yeah, Bob doesn't want to deal with hitting it, so he's careful. Yes.
May I have a couple more questions?
Sure.
As long as I'm here, okay. So there'll be a loss of water, but will there be a loss of water quality throughout this at all?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, the temporary water is same as your regular potable water.
Okay, I did have my personal water main replaced
Yep.
2 years ago because it did exactly what you said it would do, and
Yep.
I didn't have any water. So they had to dig up the driveway, and I don't know what was under the driveway for them to do. I assume it's my portion, but will any of this construction necessitate digging up people's driveways?
Yes.
So I
Yeah,
have
I
to,
mean, it'll at bare minimum, it'll get.
how deeply into a property from the street will it go?
Yeah, typically it just goes to the right of way, which is basically, in this section of Union Street is the back of sidewalk, pretty much is the kind of the property line between the city's property and your property.
So the edge of the sidewalk where my,
Back edge of the sidewalk.
my property,
Yep, so at a minimum, it'll get dug up to there, and then if there's any issues with kind of tying into the grades, they might have to go in a little bit further. Because we're changing the
But
grades a
that would
little bit.
be with a signed MOU and agreement stating that we can go onto that property if you don't want us to. It may affect the cross slope of the sidewalk for ADA accessibility, but we would then need to, alter the sidewalk design, but it's not necessarily needed
Well,
for
hopefully it
each
doesn't come to
property.
that, right?
Oh, yeah.
We like to make common sense decisions.
Yeah.
So in general, we're gonna go to the backside of the sidewalk. That's where we were gonna replace that little disc that's the shut off for your water line. That's usually where we're gonna tie in your water and your sewer lines. It's gonna be basically in line with where the back of the sidewalk is.
and you pay for the driveway reconstruction?
Oh, yeah.
Whenever
Okay.
we disturb.
Anything that
Because I had to
We
pay
yeah.
for it
Oh,
last
yeah.
time.
We won't be going all the way back there. We'll be going.
Back of the
just
sidewalk.
back of the
Yep.
sidewalk.
So that
And-
section will just.
My
Anything we
final,
disturb is under the city's contract.
okay, and I just wondered if you're asking input for vegetation, trees and so forth.
So, yeah, they won't be adding trees as part of this. What the city likes to do is kind of get all this done. And we do have some tree removals that are required to fit all this in. And the goal is to kind of replace that with trees that make more sense, but after the project is done in kind of a systematic and planned way. But let things settle down a little bit, let construction be done, and then the city comes in and supplements that at a later.
City only plants trees in the early spring. We're actually doing it now. So they already started doing it. And we'll be doing it for the next 2 or 3 weeks, and then we're done for the year. We don't plant trees any other time of year. So this will happen next year. anything gets disturbed or needs a new tree, our arborist division takes care of that, and they'll do that next year at this time.
Yes, yeah, come on up.
Hi, I'm Roland Cody from 188 Union Street, the section that was completed last year. I know as we got into December, Bob's crew had to kind of giddy up to get things, get the street paved and get the sidewalk paved and so forth. What the resulted is as I drive up into my driveway, there's now an incline that wasn't there before, 3 or 4 feet incline, such that my brother-in-law's Honda Civic scrapes when he comes in the driveway. I'm just wondering if we're gonna go back to what we had before.
Yes, so there was some sections of that road where the elevation was modified for reasons that Phil could expand on. But nothing was put into final finish grade yet. So those sidewalks will be removed, and at that time, we'll have to figure out how all those elevations will work. So all that will get changed. Phil, do you?
Yeah, no, I was just trying to look.
Yeah,
So,
so
yeah, I mean, the grading of the driveways and the final road, I mean, you're gonna get another 1.5 inches of pavement, which will give you a little bit. And they're gonna finish grading the sidewalk. So we certainly want to take a look at it, make sure that you're gonna be in good shape when you're all done. But that was the intent, was to not make anything worse while trying to fix, some of the drainage issues that were there. I'm just looking at what your driveway looks like.
It's steep.
Yeah, no, it should be pretty much exactly like it was once it's all put back together.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I mean, the road is gonna be a little bit lower than it was before, but overall, it shouldn't be much.
Okay. I'll end by saying kudos to Bob and his crew when they're jumping into wet, muddy trenches and in addition to hard workers, they're nice people. So
Oh,
thank you.
Thank you.
One more person that wants to speak in here, and then we'll go to Zoom, okay?
I just have 2 very quick questions.
Sure.
I'm Nicole Chalfin. I'm at 496 Middle Street, the house on the corner, the pain in the neck person.
No.
No, I have a question because when I walk across Union toward State Street, which I do frequently, I noticed that each house has a clean out thing. And I didn't see one at the foot of my driveway, and my neighbors. Is there a reason?
She ties into.
Oh, there is you said 496 middle?
And my friend is at 240, my neighbor.
Yeah, then.
Right.
on the driveway.
Yeah, you've got existing pre-installed drainage that
Oh, we
was
do.
already,
Okay, I was just
Yep.
wondering because I saw them.
but we actually did. I believe we put in a stub out there just in case if there was anything needed.
Because those are new.
Like towards middle.
But John, you're talking drainage, is that?
Yeah, yours drains into a backyard into a dry well.
Yeah.
Right,
So
and
we didn't
then-
want to disrupt all that. but
Right,
Yep.
yeah, and the
Yep.
sewer line is new. That's all new.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
So we tied into what you had.
Oh, okay, I
Yep.
was just curious. And I just want to reconfirm my sidewalk and my neighbor 240, it's going to be brick.
So it's the historic area.
Yeah,
Because of that, it is brick on Middle and then to the first driveway onto Union,
Right.
because those are in the historic district.
right. Okay, I just wanted to.
So that
confirm.
is what
Okay.
we have planned.
Okay, that's it. I won't bother anymore.
Thank you.
Thank you. And also I'd like to comment, everyone has been very nice on your crew,
Oh, thank you.
very nice.
Good guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, Linda.
So nice.
Hi, Linda.
If you'd unmute and you can ask your question.
Linda, are you there online? Yep, there she is.
Linda?
Do you have a question for us? Maybe some technical difficulties. We can come back to.
We'll come back to you, Linda.
Don?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. As the sort of de facto Coffin's Court rep, I just have a couple questions and one compliment to the crew. On the entrance to Coffin or the intersection of Coffin and Union, on the plans, it looks like there's quite a bit of a radius to the turning out. Is that going to be installed or constructed per the plan, or are we looking to something a little different? And I'm sorry for the spelling of my name. It doesn't quite look like my name. But in other words, that's a really tough place to get out when cars park literally, so their bumpers are within the 10-foot lane. But the curb design that's on the drawings shows a pretty good, nice little radius turn on both directions, which would prevent, hopefully, or discourage parking right up against the exit. Is that still the plan? As far as you can tell or concerned?
Plan.
Yep, we plan to install it per the distributed plan set. Nothing on that. So we do have that still.
I can't hear you. I can
Sorry.
only.
Yes, we have not all plan. So we still plan to install it per the design.
Did you hear that, John?
Emily?
Hello, this is Emily Doe. I'm on Willard Ave. I thought that in the invitation, it said it was also you guys were also gonna discuss Willard. Is that true, or is this maybe not the right meeting for me to be listening in on?
In 2 weeks. Can be on the 17th?
Hoping this, you just have to confirm and you'll get a notice. I'll make
And we'll
sure
put the
you're-
message boards out on your street when it's gonna happen, Emily.
About the meeting that's similar to this, but for Willard?
For sure, what the date is, we'll put the message boards out there so that we can make sure everybody.
Awesome. Well, this has been great to see you all. Thanks for having me. Gonna depart and I'll see you guys in a couple weeks.
Why not?
Thank you.
Sorry, we also.
Sorry.
It's
in 2 weeks.
Yes.
Well, no, it was always Union and Willard and I guess
Yeah.
separators.
It was.
We had the same design team for both. 'cause
Yeah, well,
it's,
I mean-
similar scope.
Sure, it's
It'd be the same
very,
group.
very similar to what.
Very much, yeah.
Heard here tonight, so, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
a couple weeks.
Same tweets.
You know what?
Okay.
Thanks.
Try Linda again.
Yes.
Linda.
Linda?
Linda Worth, can you? Yeah, I wasn't seeing the microphone look like.
That's the city hall ghost.
Yeah.
All right, any other?
We've got
She's unmuted.
Jennifer.
Yeah, she has been.
Oh.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jen Lombardo at 220 Union Street.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Question, good to see you all. And second, the team is amazing. It was great working with everybody. I just want to confirm I'm on the same page. My understanding is then there will be no sidewalk work or street work done on our section, the middle to Austin, until the Austin estate is completed, or up to the same stage we are now?
Yes,
Yes, that's
yeah,
true.
the plan. They'll do all the sidewalk and curbing all together at one time.
And the target date to start that is,
It's June, July.
okay. All right, thank you.
Right after the 4th of July.
Is when you'll start or when you're trying to be done by?
The sidewalk work will start right after the 4th of July. That's the schedule right now, as we know it.
Okay, that's great. Thanks.
Thank you. Looks like we have,
Trying here.
hi,
Hi, Joe Lewinsky, 187 Union by Coffin's Court. So my question is the storm drain grade, is that going to be elevated at all? They're going to be built up, the temporary storm drain?
Yes, so
Street.
we temporarily set all of those, so some of those structures were. They're a lot of that drainage is really shallow through some of those lower spots, and so. We can barely get a full height frame to fit with the finished pavement height, so. Now our current binder is 1.5 inches below finished height, so those would have stuck above grade, so we had to do creative things to. Just get covers on them for the winter and then pave around them.
Right.
So some of them were really low, some worked okay. My guess is the one in front of your house is probably low, which is why you're concerned. And so,
So that's a temporary condition.
yeah, I mean, they're
Flush
generally
with
set
pavement.
with a quarter inch below the finished pavement grade. That's the plan.
And if it's green, we're good, but if it's shiny, we're not. So you said that all the Austin to Middle, there was no galvanized.
right, I think you had a 3/4 inch line, right? Is
Yeah,
that what
three
you?
quarter inch. I mean, is it worth,
Copper.
is it worth swapping out now? Because I mean, is that something you guys would
It's
do?
copper, I wouldn't worry about it,
Wouldn't we just keep it?
honestly.
Okay,
When, except for he's renovating his house. I don't know if the plumbing code would make him increase to 1 inch, would it? He's doing a full rehab on his house. I don't know the answer to that. That's the only thing I don't, that's the only reason I don't. know.
right, yeah, because I waived that last year. Yeah,
Okay.
to, to keep it as is, but is it,
Right.
since we haven't, jumped into the curbing yet or the sidewalks, is it still an opportunity to do that?
Yes, less than before, but yes, because we put your tap in line with where it goes now, where I think your only other access would be to the side of the building. So we'd have to look at that. It would zigzag down the sidewalk into.
We'd only want one water service per property. When we replace water mains, we replace with 1 inch to the property line.
Right.
So it is 1 inch to at least your curb stop at the edge of the right of way. But I don't know if you would need to update due to the renovation. That would be, I guess, based on water demand for the proposed new use. If it is substantially changing use or number of bedrooms or, amount of occupancy.
Right, okay. So if I decide to pursue that, am I dealing with you guys or?
Start there. We could have it. When we're on site, just come down, look at it again.
Okay.
And definitely before the sidewalks
Yes.
and the driveway.
Yeah, it would be like within the next, month, that would be, our ball.
Yeah, when you'd need to make a decision probably within the next month. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Yeah, when I'm out there, I can take a look at it.
So you're gonna be out there like in the next week or so?
Like next week.
Yeah, the April 15th to the 17th is when we'd like to get into everyone's basements in the next section to perform inspections and then locate your sewers and things like that. So you wouldn't be part of that scope, but that's when we'll start being out there.
Right.
And then after the 23rd is when you'll all start to be on site more.
Yeah.
And then so will John. So that would probably be the time, like that first week in May would probably be the best time.
Okay, because we're gonna be demoing the front steps, which are wooden, and we're gonna be putting in granite, and a foundation there, so this might be the opportunity to get in right there. As
Yeah.
opposed to snaking around.
Yeah, you want to do it before the.
Right, exactly.
Yep.
Okay. All right, thanks, appreciate it.
Question from Len Schnabel. Len, can you unmute?
Hello, everybody. I'm Linda Worth's husband, and I'm going to speak for the two of us. We're, pardon me, I've got laryngitis. We have 240 Union Street as our address. And I just want to go back to the idea that the brick sidewalk is going to go the entire length of our property line when it's restored. Is that still, or is that what I'm understanding correctly?
40.
We do not.
No, we do not have brick. We have concrete planned for for Union Street. There's the historic district, which abuts, street. And then because they're in the historic district, we are taking it from Middle Street to their driveways on Union, but we have concrete scoped for Union Street.
We are in the historic district, our property, and we did have brick sidewalk prior to the renovation. So it's our understanding that brick sidewalk should be replaced with brick.
I don't think there's. Union Street's not in this.
Just looking at the
The
plan.
carriage house.
Yeah.
We are the carriage house, exactly.
It is a historic.
Yeah, so I mean, the general plan is to replace concrete everywhere. There are some exceptions, so I think the city's gonna have to consider this, and we are finalizing exactly where all the sidewalks are gonna go and what's gonna happen with brick. So I think that's new information. We gotta confirm what the approach is.
Well, we were told about a year ago that our brick sidewalk was going to be replaced with bricks. So I just want to make sure that that's the current plan.
This, what?
Yeah, we understand what you're saying. What we're saying is we know it's being replaced from Middle Street down to the first driveway. What you're asking for is for us to replace it in front of your carriage house too, and we'll have to look into that. I just
All
don't
right.
have tonight.
Who's our point person on the, on that process?
Yeah, that'd be me, Zach. My phone number came up, but I'll repeat it again, 603-610-7304. And then my email,
It's on the
and
website.
it's on the website as well, but zmcronin@cityofportsmouth.com.
That's great information, and we're very pleased with everybody involved in the project. So it's been a great process so far. Thank you.
Thank you.
John, did you have another question?
Yes, I did. And I'm sorry, as soon as I answered or asked my question, I lost all your audio. So I never heard an answer just on the curb in the entrance radius. Is it according to plan, I guess, from
The answer
Coffin?
is that we're building the plan to plan. So.
Perfect.
not
Yeah, that's
changed.
good.
What's
That's great.
shown on the plan is what's getting constructed.
That's great. Second one is I just wanted to say, and it's been expressed a couple times, kudos to the crew that were there last year out in Union. I know there's some late days and long days, but I was, as a person that uses the exit of Coffin every day, the road work on Union was very passable and very restored, at least during construction. So great for that. And then my last question is one that Peter Rice, I don't think is there tonight, but he was probably not really looking forward for me asking it, but it's just a general question about the status of all the the parts of the contract that were, or the parts of the separation project that were removed due to the budget relative to, rebuilding of Coffin's Court and the section coming up from Middle on Cabot. Just curious, is there any effort to try to finish this project in the near term, or is it still sort of a no idea?
We have to wait till we get funding. So we have a design and we're waiting until we get another round of funding.
Okay, so that's basically, there's no plan at this point. I know the plan, but there's no financial plan or no timetable.
No money at this point.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, come on up.
Yes, please.
Hello.
Hi.
I'm Dinah Stewart. I'm at 107 Union between Austin and State. And I'm sorry, I was out late from work a little bit, so I missed a bunch of the meeting and I apologize. I don't know if anyone's mentioned
Fill you
it.
in.
I'm just wondering, when the sidewalks are changed, will the main driving area of the street be narrower?
The existing curb is inconsistent and yes, there will be some sections that are narrower. I think the total width of the road, basically the width will be what it is at the intersection of State Street. It's about 30 feet from curb to curb, and that's what will be consistently throughout the whole section.
Whole street.
Yep.
Has there been any suggestion, debate, or a blanket no already of whether at least that section, if not all of Union Street between State and Middle, or at least just our section from State to Austin, could continue the one-way from that little section of one-way between Islington and State? Could it be one-way?
No,
least another
well,
block?
let me answer your question
Yeah.
with directions. Okay, so this is a pre-construction meeting for a construction project. There's nothing in the construction project that prohibits that.
But this is not. where
But
the-
in order for that to happen, several steps would have to be done. So there'd have to be a resident request to the Traffic Safety Board. They would have to review it and do studies on it.
Hmm.
And then it would have to go to the city council for permission and all that sort of thing. So
Is there
there's
still
nothing that
time?
we're doing today
Got it.
that's gonna prohibit that. But in general, there's a whole process that would have to go through for that to happen.
Great. Do you know if it's too late in the process to actually?
There's nothing that we're doing that's gonna change, whether it's one way or two. It's just gonna be a couple of signs.
Okay.
So nothing. We're building our project and there's nothing that we're gonna
Yeah,
need
we
to
don't even
change.
have the double yellow line stripe down the middle.
Right, there's like
Nothing
literally,
on this would even stripe or make it indicative of being two-way
Yeah, so
forever
it could
or
be- it
one.
could be converted. And we did think about it, but right, the thrust of this project was getting the utilities replaced and there wasn't enough of there was considerations on both sides that we did widen it a little bit from what it was planned originally.
Hmm.
But other than that, the consensus was to start with two-way, and if there was enough resident request and it made sense through these committees, then
Okay,
Yep.
so if I wanted to try to get that ball rolling, I would talk to traffic safety, you said?
you would have to do a resident request to traffic safety and what they'll probably tell you, and I'm not them. They'll probably tell you is, let's see what the street looks like once it gets built. And see, because it's gonna look different than when it does today. So it might function better, it might function worse. I hope it functions better,
I planned a lot to make it
But-
better.
but let's see, we're gonna build our project and then look at it and then we'll make, if things need to be, and it's just, ran into this last week at the Islington Street public meeting where people got up and they wanted the flashy crosswalk lights and this and that, and we had to go through this whole thing about, hey, we just spent a lot of money designing a project so that the street functions better. Let's see how the design works and see if we actually need to make any changes, because it might be just fine the way it is.
Okay.
Okay?
Sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you.
thank you.
Get a petition going.
I think I will.
I'll sign it.
Thank you.
And then we'll make Coffins Court a 4-lane highway.
All right, anybody have anything else? Yeah, come on up.
Hi, I'm Cody Booth. I live at 109 Union Street. It's the same house that Dinah was just talking about. We share half a house with each other, and we also don't have a driveway. That has nothing to do with anything I'm gonna ask. We wrote a letter last year about the trees on our street, particularly two lovely rare ginkgos. And we were wondering if those are gonna be kept on our street or if they're gonna be cut down. We noticed that when we wrote the letters last year, that there was green signage put on our trees, and then magically they were gone afterwards. So we didn't know if that was confirmed that they're gonna be saved or not.
Yeah, I'm just looking here. So the process.
That where we decided.
It might have
that
been the
half
type
round
of
correct?
plan.
No, that's the
though.
other side of the road.
Different spot?
Yeah.
Because I think he's talking about the color, because there was a color coded plan that went to the Trees and Greenery Committee, which is not the same color
no.
coding as what's on our.
Yeah, you are. I'm sorry. You're at the other side of the road. Yes. So
our plan does not have the same colors.
Yes, so, yeah, the process through the city is that any trees within the right of way goes to the Trees and Greenery Committee. They post them and say, these are gonna be taken down.
Yeah.
And they, we go through that process to review it with them, and they don't want to take the trees down. And so through that process, yes, we are planning to keep the 2 trees in front of 107 and 109.
Beautiful. Thank you. Yay. Awesome.
It does result in a little weird
Just like I do at home
curb
tonight.
configuration, but we're keeping it. Yeah.
Another question. I know a lot of the houses have mostly yards and some grass in front of their areas by the sidewalks. We have 2 beautiful gardens in front of our house on each side. We were wondering the care and the I guess you could say as they dig up towards it, because it's basically right to our garden, the sidewalks, the care that they would take, make sure nothing's damaged there.
Yeah, they certainly try to be careful. The looking at your plan, it looks like the fence is pretty much right on the right of way. It might be just over into the city property by a few inches. But the sidewalk will probably be a foot or so off of that, so they have to dig down, a foot or so to make that happen. And so it's just how close are they in proximity to the fence that you have there?
Yeah, because we have plants in front of the fence. Unfortunately, our fence came down in the wind the other day, but hopefully we'll be replacing those relatively soon. We just want to make sure that nothing was going to be damaged or dug further up to that line where the fence was, because I don't know what your picture shows, but we have garden, fence, and then there's plants in front of that as well.
Yeah, so it's hard to say exactly, but it looks like we're saving those trees, and so we gotta fit the sidewalk between those and your fence.
Yeah.
And so it looks
So
like
the back of the sidewalk
the
against
back of the
fence?
sidewalk looks like it's no more than 6 inches to a foot off the front of the fence, which is in the city's property.
Okay.
So that's where the back of the sidewalk will end. So if that's within that range, then they may disturb it. And if it's beyond that, then they, might be some minimal disturbance while they're installing the sidewalk, but should be beyond that.
And then we do need to tie in to the existing water and sewer where they are. So that really depends. where
So
they're
I
currently
guess
located.
I would highly recommend that you don't plant anything until the sidewalk's constructed, and then you'll know where the edge, everything is, and you know what's left to plant in.
Okay.
Same thing
Same
with
thing
the
with
fence,
the fence,
too.
too.
Yeah, yeah.
Hold off on the fence.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Because if it's, especially if
Yeah.
it's on the property, this is how things lay out, but,
And if we're out next week, we can take a look at
Yeah.
it too. Just, but I mean, yeah, if you're thinking new plantings and
Yeah,
Bedford Bear,
most of the stuff we have there. Yeah.
Yeah.
existing stuff.
yeah.
Well, the stuff that's on city's property is on city's property. So it's nice that it's there, but they need to come in and construct the sidewalk to provide that permanent public improvement. Yeah, the private property improvements that are outside of the private property, if they need to tear that up to do the construction, then that is what it is.
Yeah.
But Bob tries to be careful. He
Yeah.
tries to be,
Those
but
guys are good.
yeah,
So-
it's
Okay.
hard to tell where your property is and where the city's property is, and people are trying to make the front look nice, but in this case, we're rather constrained. We're balancing curb to curb width and sidewalks and trying to get everything in there, and it's tight and the buildings are right up against there, so.
I guess just another question with the sidewalks. Is it the similar concrete that's on State Street right now? Same build?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
and it's just worth mentioning that there were 2 trees on the other section of Union that were small trees that their proximity of their roots to just installing the curb was so close that the arborist transplanted them temporarily, I think at Prescott Park or something. So that we have no intention of doing that again if we don't have to.
Yeah.
But that was something that occurred that was unforeseen. So
Yeah.
just to be completely transparent with it.
Love it.
So
Yeah, thank you.
that's
Yeah, that's what I had said.
Thank you.
Got
Yeah.
it.
All right, anybody have anything else? Any more there? Good to go? Guys all set?
Thank you all for attending.
Yeah.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
having us.
Have a good night.
Thank you.